Nobody is going to tell you this to your face. Not your friends, not your coworkers, not even the people you see every day. They're just going to quietly start treating you differently. Shorter replies, less eye contact, fewer invitations. And you won't know why, because nobody ever explains it. They just drift. And I know this because I lived it. And deleting these habits was one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I want you to have that same clarity before it costs you what it cost me. Because respect isn't something people decide to give you all at once. It erodes, slowly and visibly, habit by habit. So here are 7 habits to delete before the people around you make a decision you can't undo. Let's get in. We're starting with the one that sounds the most harmless but does some of the most invisible damage. Number 1, always having an answer. Imagine you're in a conversation and someone shares a problem. Before they even finish the sentence, you're already nodding and preparing your response. You have a story that relates, some advice, a solution. You are engaged, ready to say it. And you think that's helpful, but reality is different. They leave the conversation feeling completely unheard. Because sometimes we're not looking for help or advice, we just want to feel understood. Now ask yourself honestly, how often do you reply before the other person has even finished speaking? Because here's what will happen if you keep doing it. People will stop bringing you your real problems, not because they don't like you, but because they've learned that talking to you means receiving an answer, not being heard. And quietly, without ever saying it, they start going to someone else. Now flip it. What happens when you pause, actually listen, and respond only after you've fully taken in what they said? People feel seen. And the person who makes others feel seen is always the person others want around. People don't respect the person with all the answers. They respect the person who actually heard the question. That pause is doing more than any answer ever could. And if this one surprised you, the second habit is going to hit even harder. Number 2, explaining yourself to everyone. This is very interesting. You canceled plans, so you send a paragraph. You made a decision, so you justify it. But it's not that simple. You set a boundary, and then you immediately apologized for setting it. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Every time you over-explain, you are signaling that you need the other person's approval to feel okay about your own decision. And the moment someone senses that need, the dynamic shifts. You stop being someone they respect and start being someone they can manage. Do you know why? Because if you keep doing this long enough, people will start questioning decisions you never even explain because they've been trained to expect justification. However, if you remove it, something fascinating happens. A calm, short answer starts working differently. And just a simple, "I can't make it," lands much better than 3 sentences about why you can't. Confidence is not loud. Sometimes it's just the absence of an explanation nobody asked for. And changing that habit is extremely liberating. But we're just getting started. Let's talk about habit number 3, being available all the time. Okay, this habit is seriously a big deal, and my life changed when I realized how much it was messing me up. You reply within seconds, you're always free, you never say no. Everybody knows that, and you wonder why people have stopped taking your time seriously. Think about it from the other side. When something is always available, always accessible, always ready, do you treat it with care or do you take it for granted? People are no different. When you are always immediately available, you are unconsciously telling every person around you that your time has no competing demands. And then people will start doing whatever they want with it or demanding things that cross your boundaries. A person whose time costs nothing starts to be treated accordingly. Now, imagine pulling back just slightly because you actually have a life with its own rhythm. What changes? People start to wonder what you're up to. They value the moments they do get with you. They treat your time like it matters because you've shown them that it does. That shift alone changes how people feel about having you in their lives. Now let's talk about number 4, breaking your public promises. And I gotta say, this one's going to make you think the most. So let me break it down clearly. They don't have to be huge promises. I'm talking more about your goals and intentions, the ones you share publicly. It could be going to the gym in January or starting a new project. For you, it might just be a goal you're mentioning in passing, but people immediately take it as a commitment. And this is the part worth sitting with. You have every right to change your mind. Life shifts, and sometimes what made sense in January, it makes no sense by March. There is no moral failure in stepping back from something. But here's the honest reality. Even when people have no right to judge what you do or don't pursue, they will anyway. That's not cruelty, it's just how pattern recognition works in humans. But every unfinished project or every broken commitment quietly reduces the credibility of the next ones. However, the key is not to force yourself to finish everything if you can't. The key is to be more selective about what you make public before it exists. And maybe not everyone will agree with this, but if you want to be respected, I'd suggest keeping your project quiet until there's something real to show. Share the result, not the intention, because someone who delivers without announcing is always taken more seriously than one who announces without delivering. And once people expect the second pattern from you, breaking it takes a long time. That being said, this is also important. We're humans and we all want to share our dreams, so if you're going to mention a goal or an ambition, make sure you're actually going to try and follow through on it.
Number 5. Talking about people behind their back. I'm sure you've been in this situation. You're having coffee with a friend and they start venting about someone you both know. And instead of staying quiet, you add your own little detail. You agree a little too enthusiastically. It feels like bonding. It feels like trust. But here's what your friend is actually thinking, somewhere in the back of their mind. If you'll say this about them, what are you saying about me on someone else's couch? Maybe that thought doesn't always surface consciously, but I assure you it always sticks. And from that moment on, something in how they see you gets recalibrated. Not dramatically, just enough. And here's the version that makes it obvious. Think about the most respected person you know, the one people genuinely look up to. Now try to picture them gossiping and talking behind people's backs. Does it fit? Probably not. And that's not a coincidence. That's exactly why they're respected. The most powerful thing you can do in those moments is almost nothing. Stay neutral. Say less than you want to. And look, I'm not going to lie to you. I know there are times when someone messes up so badly they actually deserve a bit of trash talking behind their back. But trust me, the person who never adds fuel is always the person everyone feels safe around. And feeling safe around someone is the beginning of every kind of respect. Now, 2 habits left, and these are the 2 that lock everything else in place. Number 6, laughing at your own expense too often. I understand you. Self-deprecating humor is genuinely charming in small doses. It signals confidence and ease. But there's a line, and a lot of people have been standing on the wrong side of it for years without realizing it. Here's what happens when it becomes your default mode. The first few times, people find it refreshing, but after a while, something changes. They start to sense that underneath the joke is an actual belief, that you don't think that highly of yourself. And people are remarkably good at picking up on that signal, even when it's wrapped in humor. The way you talk about yourself is a script you're handing to others. Because think about it, if you show people that you use that script on yourself, they'll think, well, I can use it too. So make it full of punchlines at your own expense, and don't be surprised when people start reading from it. Or, if you want to earn the respect you deserve, replace one self-deprecating joke per conversation with something neutral and watch how the dynamic quietly changes. And now, the final habit. I want to be honest with you, this is actually the hardest one to apply, but it's also without any doubt the most powerful by far. Number 7, tolerating what you said you wouldn't. You said it clearly, you had a limit, but someone crossed it. And sadly, you let it go. But just this once. And what happened next? Yes, your limit got ignored again, and then it stopped being a limit at all. Here's what's really happening in those moments. You are not just updating that person's behavior, you are updating their entire understanding of what your words are worth. And once people learn that your boundaries are negotiable, they stop taking your communication seriously at a fundamental level, not just the boundaries, everything. I know this one is hard because the moment always feels too small to make a stand over, but that's exactly the trap. It's never about the single moment, it's about the pattern the moments create. Now imagine holding the line, calmly, consistently, even when it's uncomfortable. What changes? People start to realize that when you say something, you mean it, that your words have a real weight, and that is the foundation that everything else in this list is built on. Without it, none of the other habits fully land. I know this one is difficult, but the people who do the work of applying it are the ones whose presence in a room changes the atmosphere. That's not an accident. And here's the honest summary. None of these habits are character flaws. Most of them started as good instincts, wanting to help, wanting to be liked, wanting to keep the peace. But good intentions and how people actually experience you are two very different things, and the gap between them is exactly where respect quietly disappears. Every single one of these is a behavior, not a personality, and behaviors can change. When they do, people notice, even if they never explain what they were noticing before. Now, if any of these felt uncomfortably familiar, or if this video put words to something you've been feeling but couldn't quite name, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And check out this video right here about the psychology of people who overthink every conversation after it ends. I'll see you there.